Welcome back. First time I've done a video on this set in a little while, and I don't have an actual Daredevil jersey. I have a one for Deadpool, which is about as close as I can get. Almost got her. Come here. Come over here. Come here. You're so lost when I'm in this room, but this is just proof that the cats will never be far away. So if I switch rooms, so do they. So I finally finished watching Daredevil this week. It took me a while. You can say hi to your sister. Okay. So it took me a while, but I got it finished. And you know what's interesting to me with Daredevil is season 1 is excellent. Love season 1. Season 3 was kind of sort of perfect. It's a slow starter, so it does get off to a rather slow start. Here you go. But once it gets going, it's really quite good, and it reveals that the weakness of season 2 was direction. So I never finished season 2. I'm going to admit that straight out. I got about 2/3 of the way through and said, well, that's enough of this crap, and I turned it off. And I even read spoilers of what happened the rest of season 2, and I was like, I don't like that at all. That's dumb. That's ridiculous. So I'm done. And so that's part of the reason why it took me so long to get around to watching season 3. That and the fact that during hockey season, I don't the time I'd normally spend watching TV, I don't really have. So yeah, seasons 1 and 3 are fantastic. Season 2 is meh. I don't know. Maybe it's just a reality that you can't make Elektra work on a TV movie basis. She just doesn't work as a character. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But there was just something that didn't click in season 2 and that did in season 3. And I think Kingpin is a huge part of it. Those characters now, Max Murdock and Wilson Fisk, belong to the actors. Vincent D'Onofrio is the best Kingpin I could imagine. And yeah, so we'll see whether or not, because there's rumors now that Deadpool is going to end up in Spider-Man 3, which may have been part of what drove me back to watching Daredevil and say, okay, fine, I'll finish it. But that's a storyline that I think could be really interesting, because obviously Daredevil and Spider-Man did interact with each other in the 90s cartoons, I want to say. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I think the new Spider-Man's got a lot of hype. I hope it lives up to the hype. It's going to be tough for it to live up to the hype, to be honest, because people are hyping it right to the moon with all the cameos that are going to be in it. The fact that this is clearly a nod to the multiverse, but it's going to be interesting. I also want to throw in here that I have been watching WandaVision. I do stay up till midnight on Thursdays to watch the new episode as soon as it drops, because technically it's Friday at that point. WandaVision has been honestly just fantastic, and I've been following along and going over what happens in the comics and who's behind it. And I think it's pretty obvious to those who follow the comics who's behind what's going on with Wanda, and that it's not all Wanda, that the show's kind of trying to make you feel like it's all her that's in control, but it's not. And you get into that at the end of last night's episode. I thought bringing in Evan Peters it was a nice move. So if you haven't watched WandaVision, I cannot recommend it enough. Notice I'm not saying how Evan Peters is brought in, what character he's going to play or anything. I'm trying my best not to spoil anything, because it's great. And you'll also notice I'm trying not to spoil anything about Daredevil for people who haven't watched it and might be on their fence as to whether, might be on the fence, not their fence, might be on the fence as to whether or not they're going to bother with it. Of the Marvel properties that were produced by Netflix, I think Daredevil was the best of the bunch. I was never able to get into Iron Fist. I started season 2 of Jessica Jones. I really am not all that interested in it. It's been it's been interesting, the whole relationship between Marvel and Netflix. And one of the reasons too I wanted to make sure I got through and watched Daredevil is I do wonder how much longer Netflix will carry those series before Marvel and or Disney say, okay, we're taking them off of there, and we're not going to put them on Disney, but we're going to take them off of there. I don't know. I don't know what the license is good for, how long it's going to go for, but it is a good show to watch. That being the Daredevil series and WandaVision, which is a little over halfway done, I guess. I think there's 9 episodes to this, and we just finished episode 5. I have to say that Elizabeth Olsen is really, really good at the entire acting thing in a way that I don't think her sisters are. And it's weird because, of course, her sisters being Ashley and Mary-Kate Olsen, the famous twins from Full House, and they're rich and they're worth billions of dollars. But I think of the three, I think Elizabeth Olsen is a very, very good actress, and I think this show has kind of brought that out in a way that Marvel movies can't. Marvel movies are definitely a lot of action, explosions, this kind of thing. This series hasn't been, so it's been a pretty easy sell for me to get my wife to watch this with me. She's enjoyed it as well, because it doesn't feel like one of those Marvel movies. It's not full of explosions every 2 seconds. And you're kind of left wondering what's going on. It's got almost like a Twin Peaks feel to it in certain aspects. In that it's bizarre. It's really, really weird. I remember when I used to watch Twin Peaks, and one thing that my friends and I figured out early on was nobody ever says hello. There's no such thing as somebody walking in a room, "Hi, how are you?" "I'm fine, how are you?" No, they just start in mid-conversation. And WandaVision has some of that. Now, I know there's greetings still, but you still get the feeling like everything's a little stilted. It's a little off. Even your normal everyday conversation feels off and incorrect. And so, yeah, if you're not watching WandaVision yet, you probably should be. Trying to think now, is there anything else? Well, we've been trying to keep up on Hell's Kitchen. We haven't watched that in years, so we're trying to watch episodes of that when we can. We watched all of Bridgerton, which was, it's trashy, but it's a fun trashy. Is the best way that I can put it. It's not a bad show, I guess. That brings me though to Fate, the Winx saga, I think it's called. That was bad. It's funny too because I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I don't care. I watched the first half of the first movie and I was like, I could not possibly care less about this entire thing or any of it. So I threw on Fate because I thought, all right, let's see how far we can get through this. And it meanders, and some of the storylines don't make a lot of sense, and you can tell that they have like a villain, but they want to soften that villain because they don't want to have like a full-out villain, and then the full-out villain's there, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I can see where this is going. Why are these people this stupid? And they are. And it is weird. So if you haven't watched Fate, I'm pretty sure it's called The Winx Saga, which is on Netflix as well. Don't expect a great show. It's a show. There's episodes. There's stuff happens, and it doesn't make a lot of sense at times. There's times where things happen, and I know about 3 episodes in, I turned to Yvonne and said, "Do you understand what's going on here?" And she's like, "Nah, not really." All right, and so it's been like, "Do you want to try another episode?" Sure. And so we get through it. And then the other one, that season 2 released, we're almost all the way through season 2 already because they're bite-sized episodes, and that's Bonding. Bonding is not for everyone. It is not a show that's for everybody. It's about the S&M idea, but it doesn't really get into it so much. So it is, but at the same time, it's kind of surface. Although I get the feeling when we're watching season 1 and then season 2, and especially at parts of season 2 where I've thought, I think they actually have people helping their writers who actually know how the whole S&M thing works in a way that 50 Shades of Grey didn't. Where it feels to me like one's a little more close to what that community is actually all about than the other. And 50 Shades, I think, is just not. They just don't. But again, if you're okay with, some of the stuff these people are going to talk about and engage in, and they don't show a lot, but they don't really need to. The discussions are enough in a lot of these cases. And it's an entertaining show. I do find it funny. Again, that's on Netflix as well. And again, each episode's like 15 to 20 minutes. So they're not long episodes. And the only problem I have is that there was a cliffhanger at the end of season 1 where you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And at the start of season 2, they just kind of went, nah, I don't know. I don't know. Poochie died on his way home to his planet. I don't know. It kind of felt like that to me, where I was like, okay, so you built up this big thing that happens at the end of the first season, and then at the start of the second season, you just throw it away. You just decide, nah, we're not gonna really resolve that in any way that makes any sense, and we're gonna just do a time jump, so it doesn't matter. But it also kind of felt to me like the show was doing a reset in season 2 over season 1. And I'm not sure that's something you would normally see with something if it changes showrunners or writers, where they just say, okay, we want a clean slate. But that's kind of how it feels. So there you go. That's what I've been watching lately. Let me know in the comment section below what you've been watching lately on TV. And I want to throw in as well, added to the set, I now have Candace Patton signed picture. She, of course, from The Flash. That's why Grant Gustin's in that picture with her. And, yeah. That's now been added to the list of pictures, and there's a couple others that are on their way. Trying to think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all the ones up that I needed to have put up in here. But yeah, so continuing to add to the ambiance, the set as it is, and yeah, I'm quite happy with how things have shaped up in here. So thank you guys so much for all your support, for helping this channel past 16,000 subscribers and all that. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And hey, I'll talk to you again soon.